Fuck the Oscars, you know? Fuck the Oscars! Fuck you!
The movies, the internet stuff is so violent. It's so incredible.
I see you're worried about it just because the consumption of these violent video games has been going up continuously since the early 90s, and yet youth violence has been going down.
Look at juvenile crime statistics, which have gone down dramatically over the past 15 years. It really doesn't seem to bear what the American
You can pick up guns, knives. You can now choose to punch, kick, headbutt people, stab them.
Greetings, all. Welcome to today's program. Before we begin, I'd like to take a moment to mention if you missed the announcement for today's episode of Tuned In Live or any other podcasts and streams in the past, be sure to come on over to our Twitter at ArrowOfficial17 or Facebook.com/Arrow18 for updates on any and all of our future streams. Today, I am joined by my co-host Cypher Xavier and our guest for today's episode, Star TENSHI.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
And we got Empire in the chat. What is going on, man? And as you've seen on our Twitter and Facebook pages, today's episode is titled LBGTQ in the Twitch community. Is this something to keep an eye out for? Like, it's I'm not trying to bash it, like I said before the stream. It's just something that if you're becoming a Twitch streamer, if you're in the community, you're going to come across a lot of people who have different views, different opinions. They're spawned from different communities, and what to watch out for, and when you go to stream, what to be careful when it comes to saying anything or doing anything that certain users of these communities can find offensive. I do gotta ask, like, I know Cypher and Star TENSHI, they are part of the, they are, I don't know if you guys are still part of that community. I know the LBGT stands for lesbian, bisexual, gay, transgender. What does the Q stand for? That's one I've never heard of.
Actually, I think the Q actually stands for queer.
Oh, okay. That makes
Pretty
more
sure.
sense.
The
Because
Q is not actually ever particularly tacked onto the end of it. That's a relatively new thing. It
Okay.
used to just be LBGT.
okay, it's kind of like with a lot of people, the way a lot of people are trying to like come up with different genders. Like, oh, I identify as a telephone, or I identify as a dog, or that kind of stuff. I mean, this is the year 2019 now, and people are doing some really dumb stuff. And it's like, hey, I'm gonna identify myself as a lamp. That's a sexual reference, you know. So, like, to me, they're all the same in a way. Like, whether you're a woman or a man, you're gay. There's nothing wrong with being gay. I mean, I'm not bashing, the gay community. Like, personally, to me, I feel like, okay, women are being labeled as lesbians, and guys are being labeled as just gay. Like, I don't see what a difference is. You're technically both, you're gay. So I'm like, I don't see a particular term for men as there is for women. Women are called lesbians.
Well, I want to say something really quick.
Yeah.
The thing is, I completely get what the point of this is. You want to talk about, like, a lot of people don't even really think about it. They make comments, and it's just stuff that they've grown up hearing or they're used to hearing, and a lot of them don't even know what it is they're saying.
Yeah.
But part of the thing, too, I don't really agree with the whole labeling of people being gay, because before people classified that for the definition it now has, gay actually does have a definition in the dictionary, and that's happy.
Yeah,
So
and that's...
people, they grew up saying, oh, that's gay. Okay, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're referring to the sexual orientation portion that they've tagged this with all of a sudden.
And I completely agree, because as a kid, I've never heard the term gay used in a form towards homosexuality. Like, in elementary school, when you hear the word gay, yeah, it means happy. I'm gay with joy. I'm gay with this.
Of course, because for humans, it gets perverted over time.
Yeah.
It's just like Tom knows which word it is, the N word that I don't actually say because I don't want to give it the meaning that they now have. That actually has a definition in the dictionary before they had it removed. And it's not what everybody wants to call it.
Yeah.
It's a rude or ignorant person.
Yep. And it doesn't necessarily mean a particular race, religion, creed. Certain words like that have different definitions and meanings, but people don't use them nowadays because certain people see them as offensive vulgarity when, like you said, gay. You know, a lot of people use the term gay as a reference to homosexuality, whereas it has a couple other different meanings that can be used. So if I were to come out and say, hey, I'm gay, does that mean somebody's going to come out and you know, pervertedly say, oh, you're a homo or something? Like, no, I'm gay. I'm happy. I'm happy with joy, you know? That's what we grew up with.
Another good one. Yeah. Another good one to point out is, I don't know if the word faggot has the same meaning, but everybody shortens it and they'll call people fags. Well, you know, the British actually are the ones who started that terminology, and
Cigarettes.
It basically is a cigarette.
Yeah, I heard that in school too. I remember being in science class. Well, TENSHI and I, we went to the same school together. I'm pretty sure you remember Mrs. Jackson. She was a science teacher.
Left out. Oh no!
That's when I first heard the term.
I stopped taking science after freshman year because I was doing the VOTEC thing. I got science and math credits from doing carpentry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I never did VOTEC.
But I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Oh, actually, Empire, if you want, you could always join in. We're in Discord. You can give your opinions if you want. You're always feel free to hop in, you know. Like I said, TENSHI, she's a guest on the show. She's also Cypher's wife, so, you know, we could take any kind of guest. So if you got any opinions, if you got anything to feed into the whole topic, you can always feel free to join in. But yeah, I first heard the term fag as being a cigarette. You know, people in science class were like, oh, he's smoking a fag. And then, well, they got that accent over there in Britain, you know. It's like, can I bum you for a fag, you know? And you're like, what the hell did you call me? Like, you asked for, no. Over here in America, you call them cigarettes. Over in, you know, Britain, you call them fags. So, these terms today are used in the most negative way possible to, I can't think of the word, but basically down a certain sexual orientation, religion, race, whatever.
They've taken normal words with normal meanings and they've turned them into derogatory words.
That's what I'm thinking of. Thank you. They're derogative. So with all of that, and now within the last 2 or 3 years, well, I don't want to say 2 to 3 years. I want to say it started becoming a thing within the last 5 years. But now everybody who is of the homosexuality nature, you know, lesbians, gay men, bisexuals, transgenders, they've all come together and they form this community, kind of like, you know, with the black community with the Black Lives Matter. You know, after being too many of them are being gunned down, you know, by police officers for no meaning. So you got the Black Lives Matter movement, and now you got the Lbgt, sometimes Q movement. And I do agree, they all have their rights. They're all human beings. They have their rights to, you know, what they do. But there's also a limit to what can be said and done. Like, let's say with the Black Lives Matter movement. Now, not trying to bash the movement or anything or seem racist, but even some people in that movement will still do some of the most ignorant or bashful things that doesn't, you know, it has no meaning to the whole movement. Like, they say, okay, my rights are protected. Okay, your rights are protected, and we're all for you, but that doesn't mean you can still go out and commit crimes or look down on people, you know, like basically spit on them. You can't slap them in the face or whatever. You know, the Black Lives Matter movement is there for a reason. It's basically to say, hey, my life matters. look at what's going on with all my brothers and sisters out there. My life matters too. Our lives matter. And this is not just a thing with one person or a group of people. This is with everybody else, because we're getting labeled out and we're being attacked left and right. And you're also getting support from other people of different races. You know, the white race, the Hispanic race, the Orientals. You're getting support from all around. That's basically the same thing with the Lbgt community. You know, if you're gay, be proud, and proud. You know, show your pride, show your colors. And there are still people out there that, you know, well, I don't want to say still, but there are a lot of people out there that support the movement. They support the community.
What year did you graduate? Were you the same year as me, or were you ahead of me?
Oh, I graduated in 04.
So you were the year after me. You might not remember him, but there was this guy I was friends with, Jared, and everybody in school knew that he was gay, but he was also like just so nice, and he was one of those people that everybody wanted to be friends with.
Yeah.
And I know after graduating, he started taking a lot of shit from people who didn't like the fact that he was never in the closet per se.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like you also get a lot of people. You can't say that just because you're a certain denomination that you have more rights or that you're better than somebody else. Everybody is supposed to be equal. It shouldn't matter if you're white, black, Asian, gay, straight, bi, whatever. Everybody's the same. We all have the same rights. We're
Mm-hmm.
all human beings. To an extent, we all have the same basic DNA.
Yep.
They're just tweaked for individuality. But you hear a lot of people. I actually had somebody back right after I graduated high school who told me that, and this was a friend, well, we weren't like really good friends, but this black person told me that, oh, because of the fact that they had been slaves, they thought it was our turn, we should be theirs. And it's like, one of the things that I always remember being taught about slavery way back when it was a thing, their countrymen sold them to us. Yes, our ancestors were
Yep.
stupid to buy them, but it's like it wasn't our fault that their ancestors became slaves. It's like we have no control over that. We weren't alive back then. And it's like it shows how really kind of ignorant you are that you turn around and you could make a sentence like that. And that's your opinion. It's like this is a whole reason schools are teaching you to be better and evolve past the mistakes that our ancestors made.
Yep, and that's true. I've learned that over the years too. And the Empire, welcome in, man. I got you in
Hey,
here.
I got a thing about that. You want to talk? We talk about slavery and all that. Actually, slavery was actually done by the British back in the 1700s with white men.
Well, there was that. I hate to cut you off there. I'm sorry, but yeah, there was that, and plus, when it comes to African Americans, it was started in Africa too, because Africans, they were using their own people as slaves. Then they also sold them off to those in Europe, and then of course, you know, they sold them off for great value, and then of course, a lot of them were sailed over here from the European countries. But yeah, it's not just Africa that was selling slaves. Like you said, it was also in Great Britain and in other countries too. They were doing it back then as well.
But
It's a whole
I think
mentality.
sorry.
There you are. You can go ahead.
But the thing is, I think that's why the Irish and the Englishmen never really got along, because of the slavery back in those times, back in the 1700s, when actually I think around George Washington times when it actually really got started from the whole slavery thing. But it also goes back even farther than that, back to biblical times, where the Egyptians and the Jews, back when I forgot what the Pharaoh was at the name of the time, but the Pharaoh was actually a stepbrother of the Pharaohs. Moses was actually the stepbrother of Pharaohs at one point in biblical times, where he didn't know that he was Jewish at the time, and his people were slaves at the time because of Egypt, because of the famine and stuff back in early times hit Israel so bad that Israelis.
They made a movie about that. It was an animated movie, The Prince of Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
And I never even seen that movie, but I heard of it.
It's good.
But yeah, I mean, there's so much things out there, like you were saying, about the LGBT community and all that. It's been, the thing about it is, I've friends that I've talked about with some of this, because I actually am PlayStation friends with one of them, and he's actually on my Facebook. We talked about this, and they are not agreeable with the how I can say, the transvestites. It's like they like their own community as it was. They're not really being really accepted with the transition of the transgender shit because of how the transgenders are trying to push their movement along with the gays and lesbians and all that. They have their separate agenda, and they're actually really nice people.
Yeah.
LGBT community and all that. They're really nice people once you talk to them. Yeah, everybody has different opinions about them, but if you actually get to talk to them, they're actually really
Ramses.
good people.
Ramses was the pharaoh.
Ramsey.
I don't know. But yeah, they're really nice people and all that. And this generation. I mean, I graduated in 2003. Sorry everybody, in 2004, 2005.
Hey, I was there three.
But the thing about it was never this bad today, back then, than it is today. It's because we let politics get in the way.
Yep.
And that's the number one cause right now, because everybody has political difference. Great, everybody got political difference, but remember, folks, we're all human. We have a choice if you want to be straight or, you want to be homosexual. Yeah, those are choices. But some people actually, the guy I talked to, he's like, you know what? I felt that I was, which means that, he knew he was. And I said, oh, that's cool. I never asked the guy. I never asked the person, like, why did you choose to be gay? And I always wanted to ask somebody that was actually gay. And he said, well, I felt like I was. And that's why, that they were.
A lot of them don't choose to be, though. To them, it's the way that they are. Like, you can't help who you love. I mean...
Yeah, and he was really cool about that. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And, I still talk to the guy today. He's a really cool, nice guy. And he lives up in Chicago. And, it was like, wow, man. And it's like, you may be different politically wise, but if you get to ask questions and like, hey, man, is it okay if I ask you these questions without you being offended or anything? And they're really cool if you just ask questions and like, hey, man, that's cool with your opinion. Mine, but you know what? You're still a cool guy.
A lot of them aren't going to like ever turn down answering questions from people like that, because the more people know the way that they feel and the way that they portray themselves, it helps with them getting to that point where people don't have any kind of prejudice against it, and they're just considered another faction of humanity.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing, that some of us don't have like an open mind to like, hey man, why don't you just actually get to know this person before you judge them? Because that's the problem we also have, is that everybody judge every single one of us. You could look down the street and say, oh, well, that person's such and such, and that could be the coolest person in the world. But in reality, whatever's in that person's mind, you just don't know what's going through their mind. And that's what, you see nowadays about the statistics about the homosexuality rates of suicides going up, because people judge them.
It's because bullying has become even more rampant than it ever has been. The amount of bullying that goes on is just outrageous.
I was actually going to get to that too, because I would feel like for this kind of thing, they should really start trying to teach this as a subject in schools. That way students today can get an understanding as to what it's like to be gay, lesbian, transgender, whatever. Like, if you don't need a particular course, just run it in like a sexuality course, home ed, health ed, whatever that kind of thing is, whatever that class is, because we had health ed back in high school.
But that's not mandatory. I mean, you have to take it at least 1 year. Yeah. But other than that, it's not a mandatory thing.
True.
And they focus more on trying to keep teen pregnancy down.
Well, there's that. Yeah.
Ain't that the thing with sex ed thing? Because I remember now you used to take it in 5th grade and 8th grade. I think it was.
It was, yeah. You did a brief stint of it when you were in middle school in like the 8th grade, and then there was 1 year in high school where you're required to take it because you learn about like diets and nutrition, and they focus on the whole sex ed portion of it.
Yeah.
Just now, oh, sorry, Mike, go ahead.
No, you're right. But yeah, it's just like with health ed, like I feel like today, kids and teens, they have no proper knowledge on the whole issue, with homosexuality. They don't know what people who are gay go through. it's not a whole other life, I want to say, but it's to some people it's a choice, like you said, and to many others it's a feeling. If you feel like you have feelings for another man or another woman, that's fine. And I don't know if it's because certain people are scared to be around these other people who are like, boyfriend and boyfriend, girlfriend and girlfriend. I don't know if it's a fear. I don't know what goes through a straight man or a straight woman's head with this kind of stuff. It's something that they don't know anything about. They don't have the proper knowledge or education of it. And I feel like maybe somewhere they should receive some kind of education on it to have a better understanding of those. Because, like Tenshi was saying, bullying is a big factor with this. Like, look at how many kids today are bullied, not just in high school, but in middle school and even elementary school. Like, when kids identify themselves.
Because they have a stutter, because of something they can't help. It's horrible.
Yeah.
And Cypher is probably going to laugh at this and call me a dork. But I watch, one of my favorite shows is Glee.
Yeah, there's
and
nothing
a
wrong
lot
with
of
that.
it, like, they seriously detail bullying in high school. Like, the one character on the show, Cart, is gay, and the actor is actually gay in real life. But the whole point, middle class, nowhere, Ohio, these kids were getting shoved into lockers, things like drinks thrown on them, just the rampant bullying. And it's like, I'm glad that they made the show, because you really bring to light some of the bullying. And sometimes you, just like with the show, sometimes you do get teachers who see everything that goes on and they just don't care.
Yep.
And that's horrible.
Here's the thing, I think what should happen, and this is, you all can agree or disagree on this. Okay, I think the acceptable grade, what I think would be like 8th grade and 9th grade, or maybe 7th grade. 7th grade to high school, I think would be an acceptable range of discussing that kind of stuff, because honestly, I've seen some things on TV now, and I'm pretty sure it's fake news. I don't want to get on that topic, but that, teaching children in kindergarten stuff, that's too early, man.
That's way too early. I agree.
That's too early for that kind of stuff. Wait till they get a little older. And if they have questions, ask their parents. If the parents feel like discussing it, great. If not, biggie.
Well, that's like, I don't know if it's liberals or something doing it, but that's like, I've read some articles where parents are told or feel like they should not identify their newborn infant as a certain gender, that they should wait till they're like 5 or 10 years old or something like that, so they can identify with. I'm like, look, when you come out of the womb, you're born one of two ways. You're a male or female. That's what you identify as. You're a male or female. You either have a penis or you have a vagina. Now, however you identify yourself as 5 or 10 years after being born, that's your own personal choice. That's your own personal feeling. Like, do you have feelings for another male? Do you have feelings for another female?
Even that's not valid, though, because
yeah,
I used to babysit these kids, and the older brother, he's only a year older than his sister, but he always kind of lost out. He always ended up like playing house and tea party with his sister and with dolls. And it doesn't surprise me at all that he hit high school and was more into like cheerleading and dance and labeling himself bi. I completely saw that coming. But a lot of it, you also have to look, just because you push either male or female activities on a child, they're not going to really start actively labeling themselves until their hormones kick in when they're about 13 or 14 years old.
Yep.
I will agree with that, because the thing is, if we push, and Arrow, sorry, I'm going to use you for an example. Okay, say if Arrow's my son or whatever, and I push him, if you push somebody to the point that they're going to break, eventually they're not going to listen to you. They're going to do just the opposite.
Damn right, Dad.
Yeah, that's right. I am your daddy. No, I'm just kidding, but you get the drift, though.
Yeah.
Push children and all that to the point of, where they feel like, oh, man, I got to do this in present people. Parents should accept their children, love their children as they are, no matter what, unconditionally.
Yeah, because I don't push anything. I don't push a whole lot of stuff on my daughter. Like, because like with my daughter, like, Yeah, I know. To some people, they're like, "Oh, your daughter should be into girl things, and the son should be into boy things." Like my daughter, she'll play with boy toys. I have nothing against that. If she wants to sit there and play with action figures, hey, have fun. She can make up her own little adventures and all. I used to have this.
There's a carpentry in high school, and I play video games. There is nothing wrong with that.
Just like I had a childhood friend where I used to live, and his brother Kenny, we always called him Peeper. His mom gave him that nickname Peeper, but he was at that age. I think I was I want to say I was like 7, 8 years old around that time growing up. And his brother was like, I want to say 3 years younger than I was. And he was mostly, I would see him play with Barbie dolls, and he had the kitchen, the little plastic kitchen sets, like the little girl stove and all that. And,
the easy bake ovens and all that.
Yeah. And his mom was like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's what he wants to play with. And I said, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I play with action figures. He plays with Barbie dolls. There's nothing wrong with that. I got somebody knocking at my door real quick, so you guys take over, and I'll be back in a second.
Yeah, I agree with you on half that stuff. The thing, it's funny that, and there's girls out there that are tough as nails. I mean, I've known people that are tomboys, and I think it's like, hell yeah, man, I want somebody that, that's like likes to do guy things, man. I mean, that's awesome as hell, because I know some girls, they like to be petty, like, I don't want to get dirty and stuff, and that's the kind of, you just like, oh, for God's sakes.
Well, something else too, like one of the reasons that a lot of the kids don't come out, like before they're out of high school and all, and basically living on their own, you have a lot of people who are homophobic or just don't understand, and a lot of people fear what they don't understand. These kids have to worry about whether they're going to come out to their parents, and their parents are going to like beat them to death or something, or throw them out of the house. It's like you really don't know what's going on in their lives, and they have to worry about this on top of the way that they're feeling.
Yeah, because it's like a, how can I say it? It's like a roach, kind of a roach thing. If it goes to one family member and they just say, "Hey, mom or dad, keep this on a secret," and sometimes they don't. They just go spread it out, and it becomes a wildfire. Just like down here where I live at, you do one certain thing and it spreads like a wildfire, and it's ridiculously sick. And it's like, geez, Pete, you try to do something good, and you think what's going on, and next it's just, like I said, a wildfire. It spreads out, and then and that's part where people have, like, with the suicide attempts and all that. And that's why it's like it is today, skyrocketed, because of people can't accept.
There's something I'm curious about, just because he hasn't said anything since he said hi, is I want to hear Cypher's opinion of all.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I'm like, you're pretty quiet over there, man. What's your take on all this before we get into what we're going to be talking about?
Oh yeah, I'm here.
We suddenly put the spotlight on him.
I was wondering. Because every time I wanted to try to say something, speak up, and it's like, God damn, let me speak.
Floor is yours, man. You got the spotlight.
Well, you already know how I am with all this. Is I don't judge people by sexual preferences and stuff like that. I see them for who they are.
Yeah.
So, for instance, say we know somebody, I don't know, just call them person A for this, right?
All right.
And they happen to be gay, right? Mm-hmm. I don't see that. I see person A. That's who I see. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't do that.
Yeah, because to some people, they see person A and like, okay, let's say person A is gay. That's what they see. They see a gay person. They don't see the person for who they are. Like, it could be a nice person. This person could be, he could be president of some multi-million-dollar corporation, and he has, a good family. Let's say he's married to another man. That's fine. He's got a loving family. They adopted a kid. This is a guy who supports his family, raises his kid, works a good job, and it's like a lot of people don't see that. They don't see a hardworking man raising his family, enjoying life. They look at him and they say, "Oh, this guy's gay."
Really, a lot of that too comes down to fear. Like, one of the things that a lot of these people have to realize, you can't catch gay. And that's one of the biggest fears, is they think that the longer they're around these people,
They think it's a
they're going to
disease.
turn.
Yeah, they think it's a
What
disease.
they have to understand, what does their definition of how they are, whether they're gay, straight, bi, transgender, how does that affect them? Because other than them, like, saying whether they value this person as a human being, it doesn't affect anybody except the person whose life it is.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, I want to say something too, because I'm watching this by the Bohemian Rhapsody, and he talks a little bit about this in there, very little, but not as much. I think what happened, like back then in the 1980s, and I could be wrong on this. If you correct me if I'm wrong on this, is when they found out about the AIDS virus, and that's when it all really started erupting. Didn't hear nothing really much about it in the 90s. But now you're hearing it back in the 2000s, in the 1980s and 2000s, 20 years later, you're hearing more about it now than it was back in the 1980s when no one didn't know a clue what it was.
Yeah,
and they all thought, oh, well, it leads up to sexuality of homosexuality and all that, which I don't know if it does or doesn't. I got to look up and all that.
No, it's basically people sleeping around without taking precautions, and they're catching these diseases and they're transferring them to other people.
Yeah, because back in the day, it was so easy to label gay men as being the carrier of the AIDS virus. But nowadays, you can catch AIDS whether you're gay or straight. You can get it from any. If you decide to go out and fuck a cow in your front yard and you don't know what diseases it has, guess what? You're going to have full-blown AIDS.
You better hope it doesn't have that zombie virus in them, though.
Oh my God, we'll save that for the next episode. The deer virus. The deer zombie virus. We'll save that for another episode. Thanks for bringing that up, though. But yeah, it's like they look at it back then, because Freddie Mercury, for the longest time, I thought he was just gay, but yeah, he was bisexual himself, and he died of AIDS. And AIDS could come from anywhere. Nobody may know the origin of the virus, but anybody can catch it. It's going around, and it's not just a virus. Like, maybe, well, you even got like sexually transmitted diseases that go around. If you, like Tenshi said, if you don't take the proper precautions when you go to have intercourse, if you're not wearing protection, if you got any cuts, bruises, or anything like that around that area, anything at all, anything can happen. You can attract a certain disease or virus from any kind of intercourse.
And a lot of it's not even really the precaution aspect of it, though. Really, from everything I've seen lately on it, a lot of the people getting AIDS, it's because, one, they're sleeping around, they're not using precaution, they have multiple partners.
Yep.
So first off, basically they're like, not to sound crass, but they're basically whores. They're sleeping with everybody, they're not sticking to a committed relationship, and then they're spreading all this stuff around. But also, you gotta figure that it's got to do with the mixing of blood.
Yep. Or saliva too.
It was just a big scare back in those days, and now it's coming back. Even since 2008, with this new generation coming through and all that. You know what I mean? It's crazy. I mean, it was a big scare back in the 80s and 70s and 80s, but now it's gotten a lot worse now in 2000s because of this new generation. That they just think they can go out and do whatever they want, and that's, I think, is crazy.
It amazes me. Like, you have so many, and you can see the way it's deteriorating. They need to, like, seriously get a handle on, especially the teenage generation. You have so many people, the younger they are, they're getting pregnant. Their teen pregnancy is out of control. You've got people sleeping with people just to say that they've slept with somebody. It's way out of control.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Cypher, go ahead. You go, man.
Well, I don't really have a whole lot more to put in on this. I mean, all I can really say is there's a reason why we are discussing this for this episode.
Yeah, so
because it leads into something else.
Okay, so we did cover a whole lot with the understanding of it, why people are afraid of, people who are, homosexual. So the main thing that we're talking about is the Lbgt community in Twitch. Before I get to the story, I know Cypher and Tenshi, they joined part of that community. How did you all join in? Like, when did you join in? Like, how did you approach that?
It's not even really a matter of joining. I mean, anybody can join. It's basically saying that people are different and you're not going to judge them for being different. You're going to let them be who you want to be, and you're just going to provide support when they need it.
Yep. And the group is big on Twitch, and I assume they're also big on YouTube. And there's nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong with supporting, the community. There's nothing wrong with joining the community or anything of that nature. It's just certain people in that community, it's you got to keep an eye out for. You got to watch. And there was one particular person. I'm not going to label her out. I mean, it is a her, but I'm not going to put the name out there. Let's just say her name is X. Now, X is a part of the Lbgt community. She's proud of it. Hey, that's fine. I'm supportive. I'm not homophobic. I'm not racist. I mean, if I say something to offend you, I apologize. Sometimes, like whenever I stream, we get in the heat of the moment, but we also watch certain things we say and do. That way, it's not turning the stream into something completely different. Now,
everybody does stupid shit at least once in their life.
Yeah.
Says something that they don't mean.
So, to get into the story,
hold on real quick. I'll leave. I just want to say, Arrow, Cypher, and Tensai, nice meeting you. I'm going to hop in and watch it now. I just wanted to get a couple points in there to see what y'all's opinion upon that also was. So, thanks for having me on, guys.
Anytime, man. We'll see you this weekend for Through the Doorway.
Awesome.
All right, catch you later, man.
Later, brother.
Okay, so the story goes, Cypher was watching our stream. We were doing one of our game streams. It was PUBG. It was one of our episodes of Chicken Squad. I can't remember what episode it was. It was somewhere in the teens. It was like 14 or 15 or somewhere in there. And we were streaming this for like a good 2.5, maybe 3 hours. And at one point, Cypher was watching, and of course, he has the Xbox app and all. I was like, if you want to, feel free to hop in and all, chat away. And at any point, Cypher could have said, no, that's all right, I don't have my mic working. You could have came up with 1,000 excuses not to come in. And we would have understood, we're not going to sit there and bash you or anything. We just asked, hey, why don't you come on in and join the fun, be part of the stream. And you okayed it. You grabbed your mic, you hopped in, and we were having a blast. You brought your Fat Squatch character in there. That was incredibly hilarious. Like,
yes, it was.
And it's like none of it is scripted. It's all improv. Everything is improv to comedy, and everybody has like a comeback with everything. And the kind of group that we are, like, I've known Cypher a long time. I've known Cypher for 10 years. I've known Tenshi since high school. Same thing with Bane. I went to school with Bane also. I've known these guys for a long time.
I knew Bane better than you in high school. We actually used to sit at the same lunch table, and one day we all got bored and we actually sat and plotted how we were going to take over the world and divide the countries. It was hilarious.
Yeah, he told me, like, even I told him, like, guinea pigs were going to rule the world one day. Which is funny because he said an idea he had for a band back in the day was GOP. And I was like, GOP? He said, yeah, at the time we called it Guinea Pigs on Parade. There's so many fun times with that. Like, yeah, he said that you guys used to talk all the time. He knew you, he knew your sister and all.
Yeah.
So it was in the chat. It was me, Kira, Dark, Shadow was in there. Bane wasn't there. Bane was working at the time. And of course, we invited Cypher in. Cypher came in. So I know at one point, Dark used the F word. I'm not going to say it. Dark used the F word briefly. And I went back and listened to it. It was like briefly and quick. Like you only heard him say it once. And he was referencing it to one of our teammates. That's how we bust each other's balls. Everybody jokes around with each other. Like, I could say, Cypher, you're a motherfucker. And Cypher would be like, hey, you're a fucking asshole too. And we laugh about it. We bust each other's balls on it, But it was very brief, and it was for like a split second. I went back, I did hear it. So maybe X came in at that point, and she heard it. I don't know if she took immediate offense to it. But X was in there for, I want to say, a good 5-10 minutes. Because she was in the chat talking. And I even pointed her out to Cypher. I said, hey, X in here. She's like, oh, hey, how you doing? And he's like, you remember when I told you that I could get a little bit worse? Or I forgot how you worded it. It's like, you know how it can get a lot worse? Well, yeah, here it is. But it's not in a sense to offend somebody. It's everybody has their own style of comedic value. There's all kind of different comedy out there. If I could sidetrack just for a minute, look at comedians throughout the last 40 years. You got people like Jeff Foxworthy, Bill Engvall, Jim Varney, oh god, what the hell is it? Sam Kinison. You got Gilbert Godfrey,
Ron
White, Dane Cook, Andrew Dice Clay. Pick your poison. Whether it's PG, PG-13, or R-rated comedy, everybody has their own particular style of comedy that they feel comfortable with, or they feel like, maybe people will enjoy this. Now, if anybody has listened to our streams in the past, they know that the kind of content we have it's a lot of innuendo in there. So it's going to be kind of some sexual references, but it's not directly sexual reference. Like if Cypher comes out and says, I'm about to butter his biscuits.
I remember that.
And then Kira's like, hey, Shadow, when you're done getting your biscuits buttered, I got something for you. So it's not a direct thing that's, it's not like saying, oh, I'm going to, ejaculate on you or something like that. Let's just make it that graphic. It's clean fun. It's like on the baseline of PG-13 and R-rated comedy.
Well, something else you have to take into account too on that though is you guys are all friends.
Yeah.
You know each other. It's not like you're complete random strangers that you're saying this kind of stuff to.
True.
And a lot of you are aware of the fact that these words all had different meanings beforehand.
Yep. So, because anybody could have came in and say, all right, he's talking about breakfast food in a sexual manner. Like, I'm like, well, like you just said, yeah, we're all friends. We're having a good time streaming. There's going to be somebody out there that's going to find some comedic value in it. And then there's going to be people who are going to look at him like, yeah, this is very distasteful. I don't enjoy this.
That's their opinion, though. Everybody's entitled to an opinion.
Yeah. And I tell a lot of people, I say, okay, you have your opinion, that's fine. If you choose not to watch it, that's fine too. It's not going to hurt us. But X sat in there for a good 5-10 minutes, chatting away. We assumed she was having some fun. She did a couple LOLs in there, oh guys, this kind of stuff. So we figured she was having some fun, and of course she left at one point. That's fine. And we continued to stream. Well, after the stream, it was like a day after, because Cypher was in our group chat with us, and we noticed Cypher had left. So I figure, maybe Cypher's going through something, we didn't know, maybe personal reasons. So I asked Cypher, is everything all right? Everybody's worried, because you backed out. We make sure everything's okay with you. And Tenshi said, yeah, this is his wife. And I just want to let you know, Cypher won't be part of, the group chat or anything like that anymore. I say, what do we do? And you explained that, you were approached by someone and you even saw the stream too. And you say, it was very inappropriate. Some of the things
I
you
didn't
said.
actually see the whole stream. I
Okay.
watched a couple minutes of it,
Okay.
but I mean, I have entirely too much crap to do to sit and watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I saw the relevant points where the words kept getting thrown around. And to an extent, I'm like, yeah, sure, whatever. But, Cypher started taking a lot of flack from a lot of people because of the fact, and from X's group. But he took a lot of flack from them because of the fact that he was involved in you all stream while you
Yeah.
were saying this stuff, which is what is leading into everything that we're currently talking about.
Yeah, and it kind of caused a little bit of turmoil between us in a sense, but I didn't completely stop. We didn't stop talking to each other. We just kind of kept everything on the down low. I'm like, okay, you guys are part of this community. I'm not going to do anything to hurt that for you. And we'll just back off, and this and that. Because I had planned another podcast project called Gathering of the Podcasters. It was going to be Arrow with a name. And at the time, you guys, you were doing the Team Encoder side, so it was going to be us. It was going to be Team Encoder, Tenshi and Cypher, and then my buddy Master Chang. It was going to be him and a few other of his, and we were all going to get together, pick some random topics about gaming, movies, whatever. It was going to be a blast, and I ended up putting that on a hiatus because of the whole situation. I'm like, I'm not canceling it. I'm not, trying to hurt Cypher or anything. It's just, with this whole situation, I'm not trying to give you guys a black eye over there in the gaming, in that community, because you got something over there. You were friends with X, and you had quite a few friends over there. And like, okay, I'm not going to hurt that. We're going to continue doing our thing, but keep everything on the down low, And I know Tenshi stopped talking to me for a little while. I talked to Cypher on and off a few times, and
I stopped talking because I work retail and it was Christmas time.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you were pissed off at us. I'm like, okay, I'm going to back off.
No, we had a supervisor cuss out half of management and walk out, and I ended up running 2 departments.
Well, there's that explanation. Holy shit. But yeah. So there for a while. This was back in the this was back in the early summertime. It was around the summertime when this all happened. And unfortunately, I was actually thinking about it today before I started the stream. I was like, I can't go back and view those messages from her because the streams, they're only kept for 60 days, and then Twitch dumps them off of their archives. So I'm like, I can't go back and revisit those tags, those messages. But that would have been something to use to say, okay, this is what she said in the chat. I mean, I could pretty much, like, if I go back, if I remember what stream it was, I could probably go to that point, and I could say, okay, it starts right here, and it goes through, this amount of time, the entire time that she was in there. You can't see the chat on the screen, but you can hear me announce and say, hey, how you doing, X? Hey, I was like, hey, Cypher X is in the chat. He's like, oh, hey. You remember when I told you that I can actually get a little bit worse? Well, yeah, here I am. So that went on, and for a while there, I thought the whole thing had died down. I completely forgot about X. Like, even my buddy Chang, he had told me about her personally, because I guess he knew her a little bit more personally than some people did. And he stated that she's bipolar and she has some issues on her end, and she can get a little flaky like that once in a while. So it's like, she's a good person, but there's just some things just to keep an eye out for. So after all that, it died down. I completely forgot about her. I unfollowed her on Twitter. I unfollowed her on Twitch. I didn't follow anything of hers. I didn't know what she was doing. I didn't know where she was streaming. Anything of that. And then I knew, I think it was like a couple months ago, Cypher stated that he wasn't talking to her that much. But, you were still talking to her. She was still in your Discord. She was still on your Twitter and all. And then it was recently, about 2 weeks ago. It was like 2-3 weeks ago, when we were streaming. It was the last episode of Tune In Live, and Cypher brought up the idea of bringing his project through the doorway to Arrow Entertainment, since he is part of the group now. And we discussed it, and I was like, okay, I will make up the intro for the podcast and all, and we'll get it all set up and, you know, promote it to those who want to listen in. So you went and promoted it on your Discord, Twitter, and everything, and you even still have the text and all. You don't have to share the messages or anything. That's your choice. But you said that she was kind of having a little fit about it. She said she felt like she was backstabbed in a way, that she needed, you know, another, you know, better friends. You know, oh, well, you seem to be doing busy with Arrow. You seem to be busy over there with Arrow. You have no time for me over here. And when I saw those messages and I heard that, and I'm thinking, hold up, where the hell do you come from? Or where the hell are you coming from? Were you going to sit there and tell somebody who is a friend of yours in your community, you're going to tell him that he can't come over and associate with me? That's his choice. You know, Cypher could have cut us off long ago. Cypher didn't have to come in and talk or anything or do anything at all. That's his choice. He came in.
Yeah, it's called free will.
Yeah. So he had the free will to come in. He put this project on our laps. And he's like, I want to do this. I say, okay, we're going to do it. We're going to bring it to life. And it was a successful first episode. We're going to have a second episode this Saturday. So she was having a hissy fit over the fact that you are associating with me still. And she was like, well, I guess I'm going to have to unmod you from my Twitch and all this and that. And I'm like, where do you feel obligated that Cypher should be there for you, but he can't have friends in other communities or friends anywhere else? I mean, if X has a problem with me, that's her opinion. That's her feeling. She has a problem with me. That's fine. I don't associate with her. She don't associate with me. But don't go around telling other Twitch streamers, content creators, don't tell them who they can and can't associate with or interact with. And that's where the problem happened 2 weeks ago, to where it was brought to everybody's attention. And I have her blocked on Discord, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, and I know you were sharing me a whole bunch of her different Facebook pages. I'm like, how many does she have? I had to block like 5 accounts on Facebook alone from her.
Well, see, here's part of the problem. I'm going to just jump in here with my own thing about this really quick. When me and Cypher started dating, we've been together, it'll be 14 years next month. And that's a long damn time. We've been married for 3, going on 3.5. The thing of it, though, when we started dating, I told him flat out, I was like, do not ask me to give up my friends, because I'm not going to ask the same from you. Mm-hmm. If you have a problem with one of my friends, you can let me know the reasoning why, and I will make a decision based on that. But it's like, you shouldn't be telling people who they can and cannot associate with. And part of what got me with the whole thing is I've known you since high school. Mm-hmm. You were friends with me long before you were friends with Cypher.
Yeah.
How you used to date one of my better friends, who I ironically don't speak to anymore.
Yeah, she's still around.
But yeah, I know she is. But the thing of it is, though, is nobody has the right to tell another person what they're going to do with their life. Not even your parents. You can be friends with whoever you want. As long as you adhere by specific rules while you're a minor, you can basically shape yourself to be whatever you want growing up. That's the whole point of growing up, is to figure out what you want to do and who you want to be and how you want to get there. Yep. And so the point of it is that you don't want to tell people what they can and cannot do. And I feel like her saying, oh, well, maybe I should do this. I should unmod you. What do you get off talking to these kind of people? You can't control that. That would be like one of her friends saying something to me and me saying, oh, you shouldn't talk to them anymore. Well, you don't know how long they've been friends. You don't know what kind of friends they are. You don't have any way of knowing whether they're actually going to listen to you, because mind control does not exist.
Nope. And it even falls in the category of like, and I've heard it before on social media, on YouTube and all. It's like, let's say out of a group of friends, like let's say everything branches off. Let's say I have my group of friends, Cypher has the same, and you have the same. And let's say I didn't like a certain person that Tenshi associate with. Now, me personally, I mean, I could come out and say, hey, I don't care for him, but that's my own personal opinion. Am I going to stop liking Tenshi? No. She has a right to be friends with and associate with whoever she wants, whether I hate them or like them. It's like it's free will. Everybody has an opinion about everybody. Yeah, Tenshi could say, yeah, Mike's an asshole. Cypher could say, I disagree.
You guys all know you're asshole.
Yeah.
She's got us there.
Damn. Like Dark says he's a dick. He was like, I know I'm a dick. But yeah, it's like even in a big group of friends, if there's one person, like let's say out of me, you, Tenchi, Dark, Bane, let's say Empire. Let's say Tenchi doesn't like Dark for a particular reason, and I'd be like, okay, that's fine. I mean, you have your own free will to hate him, but you still can associate with us. We're not going to kick you out of a group of friends. We're not going to treat you any differently. You know, everybody's like that. So that's why I'm like, where does this one person who's part of this community feels like Cypher should be obligated to her particularly just because he's part of and he supports the Lbgt community on Twitch? And there's nothing wrong with supporting them. That's like when I said I have nothing against the community. They have their rights. They have their right to do what they need. They have the right to say what they need to say. Do I support them? Personally, my opinion, I don't fully support them because when it comes to a certain individual, let's say one particular individual. Now, that one individual doesn't label out a whole group. You should never let that happen. You should never let one person, like, let me put it to, let's say you have a batch of eggs, you have a dozen eggs, and one of them is rotten. Are you going to buy that carton? Maybe to some people, 8 or 9 out of 10 times, no, they're not going to buy it because one egg is spoiled in there. But does that mean every other egg in that carton is spoiled rotten? No. That's only one in the batch. So I don't want to say I do support them, but then there's some people in the community that I can't support because I don't believe it gets to them, gets in the head, like they take it to the head and like they feel like, oh, I'm obligated to certain things, I come before this, I come before that. I don't think it's that kind of thing. I don't know what her nature is with her decisions and what she did and what she said.
And that's the other thing, like people saying that she's bipolar and all that, you don't have any kind of proof of that, so you can't base any kind of decision off of it.
Yeah, because even if she is or isn't, I mean, I'm pretty sure that if she is, she probably was open to it or opening up to certain people about it, because Chang said she's bipolar. And if she told him that she's bipolar, then yeah, that's coming from her. But if nobody else heard it coming from her, nobody else knows that she is. So,
well, here's the other thing, though. Even if she's saying she is, unless you've met the person in person and you've seen the way it affects them, you can't prove whether it's true or not.
Yeah.
You always have to take everything people say with a grain of salt. Because there's 2 things that my 2nd grade teacher told me that I still to this day fully believe in and live by. And that's that you don't believe anything you hear about somebody unless it comes from that person. But even then, you should always have proof.
Yep.
And the other thing is that you treat people the way that you want them to treat you.
Yep. Alright, so Cypher, what's your whole opinion on this whole thing? Like, since you were like the main target of the whole thing, with that one incident?
It was like being stuck between a rock and a hard place. It really was.
Mm-hmm.
And Tenchi remembers me trying to make a decision. She could tell it was a hard decision for me, because I was looking at it at the point of view that I didn't want to bring problems your way.
Yeah.
When this went down, which is why I backed away. Because I didn't want all this coming back on you guys. But what really bothers me out of the whole situation is I didn't even do anything wrong.
No. Yeah, because all you did, you joined in on a stream, a friend's stream, and you acted naturally. You brought some pretty good jokes to the front. Like I said earlier, not not a lot of people are going to find that kind of humor, their cup of tea. It's not their cup of tea. It's they may find it a little distasteful or whatever. That's their opinion, but within a group of friends of us, who was doing the stream, and maybe there's some people out there when they watch it, they'll find it funny, because it's not straightforward. Like I said earlier, with the innuendo references, it's not straightforward, but it's like you can get a sense as to what we're talking about. But it's like it's to keep a stream from being boring. Like if you watch somebody like Shroud, he don't do a whole lot of talking, but he's a pretty good gamer right there. But everybody changes up how they stream, so it's like with us, not only we're playing a game and we're doing something, but we're having a conversation. We're being assholes to each other. We're making fun of each other. It's fun. Conversation is always fun when it comes to like a stream or something. When you're busting each other's nuts or something of that nature.
I mean, I know when I was streaming on my own channel, I was more of a clean streamer.
Yeah,
I didn't
you're
really
PG, yeah.
I was more PG on my own, but I would join in with you guys to prove that I didn't always have to be PG. You know?
Just like look at the greats back then. Look at people like Jim Varney. Our generation grew up with Jim Varney. If you don't know who Jim Varney is, I was actually telling some people this at work last night. I was like, yeah, he's the guy who was Ernest P. Worrell back in the day. Some people recognized him. Some people are like, I don't know him. I'm like, you grew up in the fucking 90s. You don't know who Ernest is? But look at him. Like, he had that style of comedy. It was PG, but it was still hilarious as hell. But then you look at some things like behind the scenes. Like, I could watch some of his stand-up comedy on YouTube. Like, it could be PG-13 in a sense, or this is a guy who died of was it leukemia or something? I forgot. He was a heavy smoker. So like, it all goes to the saying, don't judge a book by its cover. Because the most PG rated person can also be R rated at times. So you got to know what to expect from a particular person, or they're just going to catch you off guard and really surprise you. And that's what happened with X. X saw you as a person who is not only very supportive of the Lbgt community and a friend to her, but she, that's how she expected you. You should be expected to be a real down-to-earth, nice person who doesn't swear, who doesn't act the way you do. Yeah. And when you were in that stream and she saw a completely different person and she hated it. So she brought it to Tenshi's attention and she brought it to the other community. Like you said, Cypher took a lot of flack from that. She brought it to everybody else in the community, and everybody was pretty much chastising Cypher. Like, oh, you're over here making, quote unquote homophobic slurs, with other men, you're doing this. I'm like, well, first of all,
which I did none of. That's the funny part.
And everybody,
I insinuated Fat Squatch was a certain way because I thought it was hilarious.
And it is.
But it was harmless, though. You see, that was the thing. I did it in a harmless way. Can I be that non-cussing, very nice, down-to-earth person? Yes, I can. But the thing is, that's not what most people see because I have more fun being the other way.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because everybody is different. Everybody. I want to put it in a certain sense. Everybody I look at is like a double-edged sword. There's two sides of it. You know, like me.
There's three sides to every story, is what it comes down to.
Sure,
Your side, their side, and the truth, which
Yep.
usually falls somewhere in between.
Mm-hmm.
But what I normally tell people is I can be just as nice as I can be mean.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, because the nicest person, like take some women for example. You know, I know some women who they have that sweet, sultry voice. You know, it's very light, it's very innocent, and they're very sweet. You expect them to be sweet all the time. You're like, oh, this person screamed at you? They had an argument with you? That's impossible. And then when you go to see them and they're fucking screaming their lungs out, you're like, God damn! Like, yeah, there's a whole other side to everybody has 2 or 3 different sides to them. It's like, you don't expect somebody to be like Ben Stein. Look at Ben Stein. That motherfucker's, the tone of his voice never changes. You can't expect somebody to be like that. If everybody was one particular way all the time, this would be a very dull life to live. In a very dull... Ask Cowpoat, I'm going to say, yeah.
But I mean, let me put it this way. You know, I know some people that are actually gay in real life and stuff like that, right? I make gay jokes about them all the time in front of them, but the difference is they know I'm only messing with them. You see what I'm saying?
See, I've done the same too. I've worked with this Hispanic guy. He's gay, and you know, we joke around with each other. We have some fun. You know, it's innocent fun. Like, he told me recently he has a boyfriend. He met a guy. He feels so embarrassed. I'm like, there's nothing to be embarrassed about, man. That's cool. I'm not going to laugh at you or judge you. That's pretty cool. You know, you got a date tonight. You're going to get it in, da-da-da. You know, it's harmless fun. I'm like, I'm not trying to, you know, insinuate any kind of homophobic slurs.
Here's about as blunt as I can be, all right, when it comes to gay people, all right? Mm-hmm. I mean, this doesn't really work for lesbians because the metaphor I'm going to use is pretty much as if you can take a dick, you can take a fucking joke.
Mm-hmm.
Know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's being very blunt. Yeah, it's just, you just got to be straightforward with it. Like, some people get offended, you know, when you're straightforward with certain things, and it's just sad that this year, 2018, 2019, people were finding every reason to be offended, you know, and everything to be offended about. It's like,
yeah, and what bothers me even more about this arrow is the fact is, all right, Tenshi knows how I am, all right, and years ago, all right, even you know how I am but years ago, people would have looked up to me. They would have praised me, you know, for being the way I am.
Yeah.
But the problem is, this new generation is now making people like me public enemy number 1.
And that's the wrong thing too. Yeah, because it's like,
I've done nothing wrong.
Yeah, because
that's what bothers me is I've done nothing wrong. You know, people that used to side with me will now turn on me. Oh, because it's not politically correct now to do this.
Yep. And it's sad to say that that's the life that we live in. And I don't know. How about taking vaginas, Empire? I don't know.
Well, my guess is if you take a vagina, you might not be able to take a joke due to X. Know what I mean?
But now, see, here's the other thing, though, is all of this, like, she put it out there to the community and got them pissed off at you. But these people also should have been smart enough to say, okay, let's maybe reach out to him and see if there was some kind of context this was taken in. A lot of people are just taking things at the face value they're being told, and it just causes more trouble because you get pissed off and you exaggerate it and you make it out to be worse than it is, and then they get pissed off and offended, and it's a never-ending cycle.
Exactly. Like, you and Cypher don't exactly know what she went back and told her community or her other friends. You don't know exactly what was being said. All you know is that they came at Cypher with torches and pitchforks, ready to string him up by his arms and legs and shit. And that's wrong. It's like, rather than them coming to Cypher and saying, hey, X brought this to our attention, what's your side of the story? She feeds him something. I mean, she could have said, oh, Cypher's very homophobic, he's over in that stream saying some homophobic shit, and then they all come at you, chastising you, ready to lynch you, and you're like, whoa, hold the fuck up, what the hell going on? And it all goes back to that one stream. Like,
and I mean, I know I don't exactly look like somebody that would side with that community. Yeah, you know, I don't have that appearance that I would side with them or ally with them or stuff like that. But there was a time where Tenshi, all right, had a friend that was moving in with us at our old apartment, and she didn't tell me that he was gay until we were like halfway there to get him, because she wasn't sure how I was going to react.
Yeah.
You know how I reacted? I looked right at her and went, so?
Yeah. Because I tell you, my ex, her cousin, his name's Valentine, he's gay. The first time I met him, we went and picked him up from somewhere down around Upper Marlboro. And I knew he was gay. I didn't care. He's a human being. He's another person. He's somebody to talk to. His story was, the person he was with at the time had beat him up and left him on the side of the road. So we went down, picked him up, brought him up to my house so he could stay the night, shower, and everything. And I tell you, he is the coolest person I've ever met. He was funny as fucking shit. I'm like, okay, I know I gotta work the next day. It's like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. This dude, we're all sitting in the room talking, and he's got me fucking laughing up a storm. You know, he's the coolest guy. See, I don't look at his preference. I don't care if he's gay or straight. This is a cool guy. I'm sitting here talking with this dude. You know, we're cracking jokes and laughing and shit. We're having a hell of a time. So somebody like me, I'm like, I'm not against people who are gay. You know, I'm not going to back away and say, yeah, I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. I'm not somebody who's like that. You know, I've worked with people who are gay. I have people in my family who are gay. You know, I know so many people that are gay. You know, women, men, whatever. And like Cypher said much earlier, I don't see that. I see a person standing there who's just a person. You know, they're dressed like me. They talk like me. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they act like me. I don't know. Maybe they have the same sense of humor. All I see is a nice person standing there. Somebody I can communicate with. That's all I see. And the same thing falls in line with race, creed, religion. I mean, if somebody's standing in front of me and they're Christian and I'm atheist, do I care? No. I'm still going to talk to them. I'm still going to listen to what they have to say. You know, like, if there's a black lady standing in front of me and I'm white, and you know, to me she's gonna be a beautiful woman. Am I gonna date her? Yeah, I'll date her. I'll be like, hey, you're a nice person. I love your attitude. I love who you are. You know, I don't look at your skin. I don't look at, you know, I don't look at what you are. I look at who you are. And yes, the new generation has been butthurt since 2016. Yeah. Because, like, okay, like, I'm gonna take a slight turn off the road here. Like, look at it back in the day, like in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. You know, people, you know, interracial dating wasn't a big thing. People were looking down on it, kind of like how they were looking down on, you know, homosexuality. And it kind of cleared itself up going into the 2000s. You know, where more of the generation was getting used to it and more accepting of it. It's like, yeah, because they don't see color. They don't see creed, religion, anything. They see a person that they love, that they see, and that's who they want to be with. So then that slid into the generation. Everything is cool, and now it seems like everything's starting to fall apart again, not just with the race, but with the homosexuality. You know, nowadays people are getting offended. People are finding ways of getting offended and reasons for getting offended for certain things. And it seems like it's all being brought up again. And it's like, when it comes to LBGT or Black Lives Matter or whatever. Look, we are all human beings. We all come from the same rib, the same blood. We are all human beings. If you don't like a particular person, have a particular reason for it. Don't hate a person because they're black. Don't hate a person because they're gay. Don't hate a person because they're Hispanic. Have a particular reason to hate that person or dislike them. You know, don't sit there and say, oh, I don't like him because he's gay. That's not a valid reason to me. You know, we're all human beings in this life. We all interact with each other. You know, like I said, we all come from the same rib.
Well, a lot of it too, you gotta think. The way I see it ultimately, no matter what somebody is, when it comes to sexuality, unless you're the person that they're sleeping with, whatever they believe or whatever they identify as, it shouldn't matter to you. It doesn't affect you.
And I agree. Like, yeah, Empire said, even in the Bible, it says love everyone. And nowadays, that's a big issue. It's like, not everybody reads the Bible. Not everybody knows that. They go by what they see in the news. It's like what Empire went and said earlier. It's all political. It's all basically politics with that kind of stuff. Like, you see that kind of stuff on the news, and other people see that, and they're like, oh, here we go. This black guy is doing this, or this gay guy is doing that, or something, you know, da-da-da. It's like... It's sickening.
See, I'm not saying that programs like Black Lives Matter don't matter. It's good to have them. But a lot of these programs, I think, like, they kind of hype it up a little too much.
They do.
Like, you hear all this stuff, oh, the police are killing all these black guys, all these African-American men, blah, blah, whatever the term you want to call them is. What people don't understand, do they realize you're saying that the police are killing all of these people? And, okay, maybe it's a matter of wrong place, wrong time, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, do you know how many police officers were killed last year? Because I have a future sister-in-law who's a police officer, and I don't know, anybody who's on my Facebook might have seen the video I shared the other day. There's this little 10-year-old boy who's training for marathons and wants to run. His goal is to run 150 miles because that's how many police officers were killed in the line of duty last year.
Oh. And that's a good cause right there. And that is a good reason. It's like, police officers, they're even being labeled out. It's like, to a lot of people, I don't really want to say a lot of people, but to a certain percentage, they see police officers as being the number one disease to the black community. Because every time you hear about a shooting, a police-related shooting, it's a black police officer or a white police officer shooting an African-American. But people seem to forget that there is a high statistic on black crime. No matter where you go, Baltimore, Detroit, New York, Miami, LA, whatever. There is a high percentage of black-on-black crime. And people don't see that. They see police officers innocently shooting or shooting an innocent man. And it all goes back to politics, the media. Look at what the media shows you. The media's like, okay, this cop accused of shooting a black man who's just standing there at a bus stop. Now, some of those stories, to me, are far-fetched. I can't fully believe them because I don't believe a random police officer would just walk up to an African-American standing on a corner waiting for the bus and pulling their gun out and shooting them. Like, there's got to be much more than that. Like, the person's got to be doing something. You know, the person's got to be a threat to the public in some way.
Yeah, because officers take oaths.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like they could be charged with treason against their country for not following their oaths if they're doing this kind of stuff.
The problem, the real problem, I'm sorry to interrupt, but the problem is it only takes one person to screw it up for everybody.
Perfect example. I'm sorry to cut you off. Perfect example. Empire just said it. The police officer stuff that happened in Ferguson, Missouri. It erupted. That's right. That was who was it? That was Michael Brown. that whole thing erupted, and it got big.
But you know something else that people aren't seeing? My future sister-in-law, she shares all these posts, and my brother even shares them because he used to be an armed guard at a prison facility. And I mean, he was special police force, you know, armed to the teeth and everything. But the new thing now, you have people specifically going out and they're targeting police officers just because they want to kill police officers.
Yep, and that's been a thing for about a year. You know, you got so many police officers who have been murdered, you know, because they're random targets for certain people. They're just random targets. Like you said, people are going out there and just targeting police officers. And now if you look at Baltimore, like Baltimore's crime rate, it's sky high. I don't know if it's higher than LA or Detroit, but it's sky high. And the police are afraid to do anything because they're afraid of either one, getting shot, or two, getting charged with, you know, with a shooting, and the person saying, "Oh, I didn't do anything. This pig walked up on me and pulled the trigger, you know, and I wasn't doing anything at all."
It's because we had that whole thing go down the other year with the whole Freddie Gray.
Yep.
And I don't know, like I didn't pay too much attention to it because I have a life and I was busy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, I don't know if they ever like actively, I mean, I know it was deemed that it was the officers in question's fault that he had died, but at the same time, you got to figure it was their fault, not the entire damn police community up here. And you got to look at the way they handled that, because they turned around and they rioted. They torched buildings, they looted places, they burnt down buildings and homes, and I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, and with that whole thing, like, I can understand Black Lives Matter movement. Okay, it's very supportive, but with that issue right there, I'm pretty sure those and a lot of people who are under that movement are like, you all are doing this for no reason. They wanted a reason to loot, steal, and just, you know, let their anger out, like their own personal frustrations. Like the whole Freddie Gray incident, from what I understood, from what I've read or heard, supposedly he had just recently got out of the hospital. He had some kind of surgery or something. He just got out of the hospital, and his doctor told him, you know, don't leave your apartment. You're bedridden for so many days. Don't do anything. But he didn't. Oh, Empire's back in. I'll let you back in, man. Hold on. But to continue, apparently, the rumor was he was out on the street selling cigarettes illegally. He was selling something illegally. Somebody said it was like cigarettes or something. I forgot what it was. And whatever he was doing, if it was a felony or misdemeanor in Baltimore, you know, the cops came, they were to arrest him. Now, I don't know if Freddie Gray put up a struggle, if he fought with the police, but even resisting arrest is considered I don't know if it's a felony or misdemeanor, falls in the line around them. It's not a serious crime. You know, if the police have a particular reason to arrest you.
And that's what it all comes back to, too, though, is obviously he fought against arrest. It's like if you would have cooperated, half of that probably wouldn't have happened.
Yeah. And then when they put him in a paddy wagon, there was even a witness in there who was in the paddy wagon who said that they did not strap him down. And they said it was kind of a rough ride. At first he said that Freddie Gray threw himself against the side of the bus, and then he came out and said, oh no, he wasn't strapped in. The driver was driving erratically all the way to the police station. So whatever happened in the paddy wagon, we don't know the full story. I mean,
and unless you were there or you had cameras, you're not going to know the full story.
Yeah, and of course he died in the hospital. Now, I can understand there are some people that are like, okay, innocent people are being shot or charged, you know, for stupid shit. They're being arrested or shot every day by police officers. Now, in America, you have a right to protest if a peaceful protest. And I could agree, you know, protesting that those officers get charged and jailed. You have a right to protest. That is your American right. What you do not have a right to do is riot. And that's what a lot of these young people were doing. They were rioting for no reason. They say, oh yeah, this innocent, this black man, they murdered him. They murdered him. Let's tear up Baltimore. It's like, that is not how you get justice done. You let the justice system roll out. You let everything roll into place. You let the evidence surface. You let, the court system deal with these police officers. Yes, you have a right.
The only thing you accomplish by rioting like that is that if they have your face on any type of camera doing this,
yep,
that's rioting like that. It's basically like an act of terrorism.
Yeah, because it goes. Yeah, go ahead, man.
I want to actually point this out because what's your name again, ma'am? I'm sorry to ask.
Star TENSHI.
Star TENSHI. Okay, Star TENSHI. You was talking about this stuff about Black Lives Matter and stuff. There's actually a thing on Netflix right now, and I'm looking right at it because I've been watching it. Truth and Power. It's one season, but it has I don't know how many episodes, and it talks about this stuff. And matter of fact, if you want to go back to the Black Lives Matter thing and all that, let's go. I'm just want to take this back a little bit, a couple steps. And that one guy in Florida.
Oh, hold on. You might have to start over because you were cutting out.
Okay. You remember how the 2012 where that guy was arrested in Florida for shooting a black.
What was his name? I remember who you're talking about. I was listening to that on the radio.
That's when the Black Lives Matter movement actually started kicking. That's when that's the first thing that the Black Lives Matter.
Yeah, Trayvon Martin.
Trayvon Martin, yes. That's when it started began.
Oh, you cut out again. Go Empire, you cut out again. He might have issues with his mic. Yeah, that's pretty much when it all started. Was the whole Trayvon Martin thing. I forgot. George Zimmerman, that's what it was. George Zimmerman. He was a neighborhood watch. Oh, well, that's what they say. He was a neighborhood watch. And he got reports, or there was reports of a suspicious young black teen, just walking around a community. He looked suspicious, da-da-da. And all was said was that this kid was on his way home. He just stopped off at a convenience store, bought some Skittles or something. I think they said they found Skittles in his pocket or something. And George Zimmerman, he approached him. He had a gun. He said the kid was drawing a gun or something like that. I forgot what it was. And then he drew his, and he ended up shooting the kid. And that was a big thing. And of course, George Zimmerman, he never went to jail because Florida has their stand your ground. Their stand your ground. What is it? It's not a movement or anything, but it's like, you have a right to stand your ground, and they let him go on that because he was quote unquote defending himself. But from what? A kid who? What was he going to do? Throw Skittles at you?
Yeah, I know. But the thing about did I cut out the whole entire time?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I'm rambling on, and I didn't even know I got cut out. So like I was mentioning about Star Trek, people are afraid of the future. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think that's a big problem with this generation. Is they're afraid of the future that, oh no, this old generation, they could be scared of the future. Because, that's where, you get back to the 1960s and segregation and all this other stuff happened back in the 60s to around the Vietnam. And that's why I think some people are afraid of the future. Yeah. And that's where we get all these things, these older police officers that, are terrified. Okay, they know that they put their lives on the matter, but we can't be afraid of that kind of stuff. And that's why I think what's the problem is a lot of fear of what's going to happen.
Yep.
And when we do that, we allow ourselves to get vulnerable and do stupid shit,
Mm-hmm.
And the thing, like Star Trek 6, it's when Chancellor Chang got killed or assassinated by two Federation officers, it made Kirk realize, man, I was prejudiced. Now I shouldn't be that way. And that's how he changed and, restored their sons and the woman and the Chancellor Czar's faith.
Yep.
Because they realized, okay, what I did was wrong and was thinking the wrong way.
Oh, yeah.
But and the thing, this whole race card crap, okay, the race card, we're all bleeding red. I don't know if you're bleeding green, blue, purple, gray, whatever, but we all bleed red. We shouldn't be describing people because we have different color is just a color. We get old. Guess what? We're all gonna have gray hair.
I don't know about that. I mean, every time I cut my skin, the flesh seems to heal itself on the other side.
But I mean, that's the thing. People don't understand. We all bleed red.
Yep.
And rather you like it or not, it doesn't matter if you're Hispanic, African American, white, Asian, any kind of race. You're gonna bleed red.
That's what I said earlier. We all come from the same rib.
Yeah, except that rib, man. And, one of us has one more than the other. I mean, women, I think, have one less or something like that. I mean, they go through. I mean, women, man, they go through a lot of mess too.
Mm-hmm.
With, giving birth to, and all that. And the thing is a lot of this has to do with politics. Okay, and that's what we talk about politics and we talk about this fake news. I'm not going to mention the TV show because they don't deserve it, but.
Mm-hmm.
Certain newscasts will actually tell you the truth, and some other. I listen to the underground news.
Yeah, like Alex Jones. Yeah.
Well, I'm not really listening to him not as much, but like Ben Shapiro, another guy that's actually a Christian, but he puts in biblical theories. Pastor Paul Begley, good guy. And he loves everybody, and he tells the news also what's going on, what the main news media ain't sharing.
Yeah.
And but there's a lot of like underground news that tells that has their different opinions about certain things, and that's the thing that mainstream media does, is try to push a certain agenda on us to shove it down our throats, and and that's what ticks off a lot of Americans and everybody around the world. If you're going to shove something down somebody's throat, of course they're going to get pissed.
Yeah.
No. That's like, okay, let's take an example. Let's just say, I know there's probably Hillary Clinton listeners out there, but okay, Hillary Clinton supporters like shove their agenda. Oh, we want Hillary, la 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 la, and they shove it down our throats. Guess what? A lot of people are gonna get pissed and say, "Well, screw you, buddy," and that's when we become divided.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we got a divided country as we speak, is because that the media, everybody listens to the media a whole lot. If they could listen to me with a clear mind and look out the side of the box, because I always tell everybody when they have problems with their relationships or whatever, if you look inside the box, that's all you're going to focus is between 4 walls or 5 walls or whatever.
Yep.
But if you look outside the box, you see the bigger picture of things, and you do it with a clear mind. And then that's when you say, okay, now I understand what's going on.
Yeah. Or since you're putting it in a certain sense, I can only say one thing. If you ever seen that movie from John Carpenter, They Live, it's got Roddy Piper in it. I don't know if you guys seen that movie.
I don't think I have.
Check it out. It's a sci-fi horror comedy. It's got Roddy Piper in it, and I could use that movie as a prime example to explain politics nowadays. Now, I mean, there's like aliens in the movie and all, but it's the way politics are. Like, when I compare politics to that movie, I would say like the government, the media and all is trying to blind us from the truth with all this fake news, and then those who expose it for being the fake news, we are the ones that believe. We are the ones that see past that and see what actually is going on. Just like in this movie, everybody sees all this weird stuff. It's like all this stuff is going on, and this guy walks into town. He don't know what the hell's going on. He thinks, okay, this is a bunch of weird cover-up stuff. So he comes across this box of sunglasses, particular sunglasses, and he takes a pair. And so he's walking into town, and he puts the glasses on. Everything's in black and white. But then you start looking up at like billboards and magazines, and they have certain words on there like obey and shit, or this is your master, this is you're a slave, or some shit, and then you take the glasses off and everything's normal, and then you put it on, and certain people you see, they're actually aliens in disguise, that are secretly down here, trying to run our lives and tell us what to do. And that's why I compare this movie to the way politics is now, because they think, in a sense, they know what we need and what we should hear, what we should see, what we should believe. That's a good example. I'd say check that movie out.
Well, I also have to say another problem with politics nowadays is nobody hides their political views anymore. I remember being raised, being told, keep my political views to myself.
Yep.
Because it used to be you could be friends with Republican or Democrat or an independent and stuff like that. But nowadays it's, the person that you're a friend with finds out that you're one or the other, right? They're not that. They say, fuck you. And, they get mad at you all because of your political view.
That's like when I go to work, and even though the manager where I work at, she tells everybody there, try not to discuss anything political to the customers. We don't want to get them riled up or anything like that. It's distracting. Some people do take offense to that. I'm like, okay, you don't want your employees to discuss politics. That's fine. But up on the wall on this 32-inch TV, you got CNN playing 24 hours a day.
Oh God,
what's wrong with that picture? So I know we all got sidetracked to the Black Lives Matter politics and everything, but you know what? It all
fits in.
It all comes full circle, yes, because the Lbgt community and movement, it also fits in there the same, because people look at that movement almost the same way they look at Black Lives Matter. I look at it as like, we're all human beings. We're all down here. We got to live with each other, learn to love one another. Or you could just be some hateful person, shacked up in a home and not going outside and seeing the sunshine and enjoying life. You're just shacked up in your house, watching propaganda on TV, believing every word that CNN spews out. And then that's how
it's almost as if you just described me, other than watching propaganda.
Oh, Shaq me, baby. Mike Mines. I can just see this going in Mike's voice. Shaq me, baby.
I feel very shagged, baby. I can't do it. I can do other voices, but I can't do that. Oh, behave.
Oh, shit.
Or maybe for Empire. How we doing, folks? I'm not going for any further than that.
Arrow, you're not planning to butter some biscuits now, are you?
I don't know if I can get up to the store in this fucking mess. Maybe I can get some.
Well, it looks like the snow might have stopped.
That ain't what I'm worried about. I'm worried about the ice rain and the freezing rain and sliding into about a dozen idiots in Glen Burnie.
You're gonna eat them biscuits, boy.
If you slide into a bunch of idiots in Glen Burnie, wouldn't the intelligence level go up?
I think it would. It's like a video game. I guess if you take out the liberals and all, everything goes up. You rank up. You level up.
Right, that'd be funny.
Just get into them like a bunch of bowling pins.
Time to kick ass and chew bubblegum. I'm all out of bubblegum.
Mm-hmm. So we're over an hour and a half. This was a pretty good discussion. We did talk about the Lbgt movement and community within the Twitch and gaming communities. It's not a bad thing at all. So don't think I'm trying to bash the community. If you're very supportive of the Lbgt, show your pride, share your colors. It's all fine. I'm just saying, within whatever community you support or be part of, there's just certain people, certain individuals in there that can do some things, some shady things. Like I said, this particular person, looked at Cypher and say, "Oh, you're gonna associate with him? Well, you could stay the hell away from me." In a sense, that it's like, look, why can't I be friends with both? Even though I've known Arrow for 10 years and I've only known you for a year, you're still friends of mine. You hate each other. Hey, that's fine. Don't talk to each other, but I'm still friends with you guys. So if you're going to try to pull me away from him, or you're going to push me away from you because I associate with him, and it's like, you know what? You're no friend of mine. If you're not going to respect who I'm friends with, if you're not going to respect my feelings for other people, then you're not a friend yourself. And that's when you shut them out.
There's an old saying, and it's still true to this day. Only God can judge me now.
Yep. And that's what other...
It.
And that...
I'm going to get that tattooed very soon.
There you go.
Well, if that's the case, I'm definitely going to hell.
Damn you, Cypher.
And I think that was the meaning for the whole stream too. Is I had it in my head. God damn, I had the thought and I lost it. I think that was the whole meaning of it. It was like, you know, if you can't respect somebody's feelings or opinions, then you're not worthy. You know, like, you know, Cypher did nothing to this person. I did nothing to this person personally. You know, this person came watch my stream. She didn't like it. I said, that's fine. You didn't like it. That's okay. You know, you don't have to follow us on any platform. You don't have to watch any of our content. You don't have to associate with us. That's fine. But don't try to change your friend's personal life so that they're focused around you. And that's what, when Cypher came to us that day, you know, we were all very supportive. We were like, you know what? The hell with her, man. If that's the kind of person she is, fuck her. Like,
X ain't gonna give it to you, Mike.
Not if he's wearing a thong.
Oh, shit.
I'm gonna download that mod. I'm gonna try that out. I'm gonna find that mod somewhere. X is all naked. He's wearing his little tiny thong with the umbrella symbol on the front.
Oh God,
hilarious, man! I saw that. I was like, "Holy crap, bro!"
All right. So anyway, Cypher, you have any closing remarks or anything that you wanted to say throughout the show? And I'm sorry.
There's not a whole lot really for me to say. You know, people need to learn to respect others.
Yep.
You know, it might not be their point of view, you know, that the person has, but still, they have a point of view. Respect that.
Yep. Tenchi, you have any closing remarks before we shut this down?
My big thing is just, like, you need to be more understanding, I think. You know, you need to look at where people are coming from, realize that some people to physically come out and tell you how they are, it takes a lot of courage for people to do that kind of stuff. And so everybody else just needs to try and understand a bit more, because honestly, people's sexuality does not affect anybody except for them, unless, of course, you're the one in the relationship with them. But the other thing, too, though, is you need to treat people the way that you want to be treated, because if you treat somebody like crap, they have no reason to treat you any differently.
Yep.
And that's something I think a lot of people don't seem to realize anymore. And a lot of the issues happening nowadays, mostly it stems down to the younger generation.
Mm-hmm.
They're not being taught properly. They're not learning any kind of respect for anybody. They seem to think that their way is correct and that they're entitled to be little assholes to everybody. And really, it comes down to knowledge. You have to know to understand, because really it's just people are afraid, but they don't seem to understand that this doesn't, like, you can't be current gay or away from whatever your orientation is. That's just not possible.
Yeah. And Empire, since you are a guest on the show, do you have any closing remarks?
Are you ready to get your biscuit buttered, brother? It's just beginning.
Pillsbury or store brand?
Homemade brand. You
Homemade.
You gotta make it homemade style, because, you know, we got to do a Wolfie style, too, you know. Can't leave Wolfie unless...
Yeah, I ain't seen him in here at all. He must be sick or something.
But you know what I gotta say? I gotta say, thank you for watching my buddy Arrow show in Cypher in Star TENSHI, because we're gonna butter your biscuit.
There we go.
Oh, that will never get old.
That's gonna be chiseled on Cypher's tombstone.
Gonna butter your biscuit.
And with that being said and everything and stuff, standing up, sitting down sideways and all. Yeah, I want to thank Empire for coming in today. Be sure to subscribe to his Twitch channel, twitch.tv/theempire495. I don't know when you can be streaming. So I know you were talking about doing some Evil Within here soon. I know you've been asking me to do it, and I'm definitely going to be getting to it sometime soon. I just got like so much more. I got so many new stuff coming up. Like, I've been doing a lot of retro stuff lately.
Yeah, I just want to see what the reviews and all that is from your point of standard. That's why I want you to do it.
Oh yeah.
You know, your point of standard, and you know, see the graphics and see if it's really worth the $20 or $30. It's how much it is worth.
Oh yeah, I'll get around to doing it. I might do it. Actually, you know what? I might do it tonight. I'm going to do a late night stream tonight. So if you're up and all, I'll be on there. I'll play whichever one you want to see, whichever one you want me to do. Evil Within 1 or 2, whichever one you want to see.
Second one, because the second one has that first person view.
All right, I'll get that for you. And of course, I want to thank our guest, Star TENSHI, Cypher's wife. You are always welcome on the program whenever you have the time and you want to jump in.
Yep.
And of course, for my co-host Cypher, thank him for coming in today. Also, guys, today was a pretty good episode. I hope you guys have stuck around and caught it. If not, it is going to be uploaded on our YouTube channel. Be sure to hop over there and subscribe to Arrow Entertainment. Or if you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to hop on over to our main streaming channel, twitch.tv/Arrow with a name. And be sure to catch us this Saturday for another spine-chilling episode of Through the Doorway. I gotta do that voice. Through the doorway. Be sure to follow us through the doorway. And of course, we're going to have guest speaker on there, Empire. I'll let you know what the topic is, because Cypher is going to pick the topic. We have so many things to talk about. And of course, you know, like I said, Star TENSHI, you're always welcome on here. So if you ever got a particular topic to talk about, anything paranormal related, I mean, we can even expand to the universes of Sasquatch, maybe the Loch Ness Monster, maybe 10-foot tall Native Americans coming down out of a spaceship. That was a Dane Cook thing.
Sasquatch, my taller cousin.
They used to have a TV show with Sasquatch hunters or whatever the hell that was on Discovery a while back.
Oh yeah, I forgot what that was called. I never caught wind of that. Yeah, I remember that. They were trying to, like, you know, hunt down Sasquatch and shit.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Watching all those old guys gonna go try to be up a Sasquatch. I'm like, holy shit.
I can't find Sasquatch, but I know where Fat Squatch is.
Mm-hmm. You know how he blends in. You see this big furry thing wandering around in the woods and shit, and it's like all he has to do is shave all that hair off, and boom, he's one of us. He's probably that man in the caveman commercials. You know, this Geico commercial with the caveman? That's probably Sasquatch right there. He just didn't shave his face.
Planet of the Apes, The Empire Strikes Back as Sasquatch.
With Three Doors Down playing their song in the back. Oh my god, I remember that commercial. It was a caveman commercial, and they would play "Let Me Be Myself." And I was like, oh god. Every time I play this, I had to play that song. Every time I play that song, I think of that commercial where they're all in the bowling alley bowling, and the one guy comes in and they're all cheering. You know, they're happily meeting up with him and shit. And like, hey, come on, let's bowl together and shit. Like, yeah, bring those commercials back. Anyway, guys, thank you to our co-host and our guest today, Star TENSHI Empire. Once again, thank you all for watching. Hopefully, we will see you guys this coming Saturday for Through the Doorway. Don't miss it. Until then, stay tuned in.